I'm Andrew Mietrich, and if you're new here, I used to work inside a big mainstream newsroom, saw how stories were twisted to fit the narrative, and I walked away. Now I'm independent, I speak freely, and I tell you what really matters. So hit like, subscribe, and if you want this kind of journalism to keep existing, consider supporting the channel. It makes a real difference. All right, buckle up. Britain once again outdid itself. Political scandal at the top, tragedy on the streets, and bureaucracy gone mad in between. The Prime Minister is forced to explain why one of his closest allies is suddenly taking an extended leave after being exposed for having links with a notorious financier who was convicted of serious misconduct years ago. Officially, the politician has been suspended from his duties, stripped of party privileges, and told not to expect a comeback. But, as always in Britain, extended leave usually means wait until the noise dies down. And just as the elites were busy covering their tracks, London woke up to another tragedy. A young refugee boy who fled war dreaming of becoming a doctor was fatally attacked by a local teenager after accidentally bumping into his girlfriend on the street. Prosecutors described it as a cold-blooded act, while the defense claimed self-defense. The jury didn't buy it. The contrast couldn't be sharper. Those in power protect predators in suits, while kids who believed in Britain's promise of safety end up losing their lives in its streets. And if that wasn't enough, the Prime Minister just confirmed that the long-disputed digital identification program will go ahead. Remember how they told you it's only to track illegal migration? Well, turns out it'll also link directly to your bank account and determine access to your own money. Surprise, surprise. What started as a security measure is now the skeleton key to every citizen's wallet. Then there's this. A long-serving factory worker got fired for saying top of the morning to his manager in an Irish accent, a joke, in front of an auditor with red hair. The company called it racially insensitive. The tribunal later ruled the firing unfair, describing the investigation as improperly handled and based on assumptions. Translation, management went woke and broke. The man got compensation, but really, how fragile have we become if a greeting can cost you your job? By the way, speaking of offense, parents in Wales were accused of racism for objecting to an unannounced Islam lesson at their kids' primary school. One pupil said, "I'm Christian, I don't pray to Allah." The guest instructor reportedly replied, "By 6th grade, you'll all be Muslims." Parents complained, and the school labeled them intolerant. This is what I keep warning about. The word racist has become a weapon, used not to fight hate, but to silence opinions. Have you been called racist just for disagreeing? Tell me in the comments. Meanwhile, in Birmingham, the multicultural debate hit new heights of absurdity. A Conservative MP claimed there are no white faces left in a local district. Local shop owners immediately clapped back, saying, "What are you talking about? We see white customers every day." The mayor called the comments shocking. The press turned it into a meme, and one newspaper even published a cartoon with the MP wrapped in a British flag looking suspiciously like a clan hood. Satire, they say. Freedom of the press, right? Unless you're the one being caricatured. Now hold on, we're not done. A man in London crashed his car into a gas station, then into a van, threatened the van driver with a knife, ploughed through a fence, hit a bus, and finally got stopped by people with, wait for it, hammers. Yes, civilians armed with hammers, smashing windows to hold him until the police arrived. When Londoners start doing the police's job with hardware store tools, you know something's gone off the rails. And just when you think the chaos slows down, nope. Over 1,000 migrants crossed the channel in one day on inflatable boats. Officials celebrated the return of 19 people to France as a breakthrough, so the score is roughly 1,000 in, 19 out. At this rate, Britain's migration strategy looks more like a ferry service than border control. But let's talk about defence. The Parliamentary Defence Committee released a damning report. Britain's army, they say, could handle peacekeeping, but not a real war. The stockpiles are low, logistics thin, and the soldiers undertrained. Compared to a generation ago, the military has shrunk from a sharp sword to a rusty butter knife. The plan is to rebuild readiness by the mid-30s. But the experts warn, if conflict breaks out today, Britain simply isn't ready. And speaking of readiness, Scotland is, once again, preparing for independence. The First Minister promises that households will be thousands of pounds richer per year if they leave the UK. The opposition calls the plan empty, accusing him of wasting funds and mismanaging the country. He fires back, saying the old promises of stability under London's rule have all failed. Support for independence is climbing. Scotland may not pack its bags yet, but they've started checking flight schedules. Now, across the Atlantic, a certain former American president gave a fiery speech at a conservative college, claiming teachers are poisoning children by dividing them by skin color. He promised to overhaul the entire education system if re-elected. Teachers' unions called his remarks nonsense and dangerous. The political circus continues, and somehow it always finds a stage, even when the script feels older than cable TV. Back home, the government just handed London tens of millions to tackle record homelessness. The goal is to eliminate rough sleeping by the end of the decade. Noble aim. But right now, more than 1 in 20 children in the capital live without a permanent home. Families spend months in temporary hostels, and the city burns millions daily just on emergency housing. The mayor says this new funding will finally make the plan possible. I'll believe it when I see fewer people sleeping in shop doorways. And as if that wasn't enough bureaucracy for one day, London's Transport Authority plans to cancel fee exemptions for electric car sharing clubs. They currently pay nothing to enter the city, but soon they'll be charged a hefty daily fee. The city says it's to reduce traffic. The car-sharing companies say it'll destroy eco-mobility. The reality? Another cash grab disguised as climate policy. Some of my friends bought electric cars just to skip congestion charges. Now they're being punished for doing exactly what the government told them to do. And to top it all off, literal paint wars. Londoners fed up with pickpockets started a grassroots movement called Pickpocket London. They film thieves in action, chase them on bikes, and spray them with bright paint from aerosol cans. It's half justice, half performance art. You see these videos, people shouting pickpocket while splashing fluorescent paint on fleeing criminals. My question, will it help or just turn the streets into a Jackson Pollock exhibition? Then in Bradford, police arrested a man after an attack outside a college injured several people, including officers. Witnesses said he was armed with a gardening tool. Thankfully, everyone survived and the man is in custody. But as usual, police increased patrols after the incident, not before it. Prevention apparently still isn't fashionable, and because Britain loves contrast, while chaos unfolds in cities, the King and Queen cheerfully posed with tiny Lego figures of themselves during a community visit in Scotland. That's right, royal miniatures. If nothing else, at least the plastic monarchy is stable. So that's Britain today, a country juggling corruption at the top, violence in the streets, digital control schemes in the making, and comedy courts where jokes get you fired. A society that calls parents racist for protecting their kids, that fines you for your garden furniture, and that needs hammer-wielding citizens to stop criminals. If that sounds normal, you're not paying attention. Britain isn't falling apart. It's being reassembled into something unrecognizable, and that's why we're here, to keep track of every piece before they quietly swap it for something else. If you've watched this far, thank you. Your support keeps independent journalism alive. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video with friends who still believe in asking questions. I've been doing this for years, not because it's easy, but because someone has to. I chose truth over obedience, and I'll keep digging into the stories others avoid. If you value clarity over noise, stick around. We've got much more to uncover. Subscribe, hit like, and let's keep this channel growing so we can reach more people who care about the truth.